All right. For XRP holders, Clarity Act likely scheduled from July 13 to President's Assent. So the question is, could July 13 mark the beginning of the absolute final countdown for XRP? So right now, Washington is buzzing as lawmakers prepare to return from Senate recess, and the entire digital asset space is staring down the barrel of a massive legislative event. If you are an XRP holder, your calendar needs to be completely locked in for this coming week. A highly followed post on X shared by market analyst Kenny Nguyen has completely set the community on fire. He has mapped out the explicit week-by-week legislative path for the Clarity Act, tracking it all the way from July 13 to the ultimate finish line. And that's the president's signature at the White House. Now, as a long-time market observer, my take on this is simple. This upcoming window is a defining moment. For years, we have been running on rumors, court dates, and settlement speculation. But right now, we are looking at actual structural law making its way through the Capitol. Even though even though this timeline has sparked a lot of debate and skepticism from some corners of the internet, it serves as the ultimate checklist for what we need to watch. If this bill slides through the cracks of Congress without a hitch, the entire regulatory landscape for XRP flips overnight. So, what happens in Washington between July 13 and July 17? According to the timeline shared by Kenny Nguyen here on X, the fireworks begin on Monday, July 13. He projects that between July 13 and July 17, the Senate will move aggressively to hold a crucial procedural vote and a final floor vote on the Clarity Act. This is where the rubber meets the road. In my view, this first week is the most critical hurdle. A procedural vote tells us exactly where the political alliances sit. If the bill gets past the procedural stage smoothly, it shows that there is a bipartisan consensus behind getting these regulations sorted out. So my stance is that the market hasn't fully priced in the speed of this process. Most retail traders are expecting delays because that is what crypto has given us for 5 years. But if the Senate hits these benchmarks next week, it's going to catch a lot of short sellers completely off guard. Now, how will the House and Senate reconcile the bill by July 24? Once it passes the Senate floor, the timeline gets even tighter. So from July 20 through July 24, Nguyen projects that the House of Representatives and the Senate will work in tandem to finalize the reconciliation process. This is where both chambers of Congress merge their individual versions of the bill into one definitive, polished piece of legislation before printing the final copy to send over to the White House. Now, some people in the community are looking at this reconciliation phase as a place where the bill could stall. But as a market observer, I see it differently. The heavy lifting has already been done in the committees earlier this year. This week is all about dotting the I's and crossing the T's. If they hit this July 24 deadline, it confirms that Congress is treating crypto clarity as a priority item before the summer heat really sets in, which could send a wave of confidence straight into the institutional trading desk. Now, Let's go to July 27 to August 7. Now, this is the big question that is everyone is talking about. Will President Donald Trump sign the Clarity Act law by August 7? The final window in the projection runs from July 27 all the way to August 7. During this multi-week period, Nguyen suggests that the bill will sit on the president's desk, waiting for Donald Trump to officially sign the Clarity Act into law. Now, here's my opinion. This specific part of the timeline has faced a lot of pushback. For example, an ex-user named Beyond Investment openly questioned whether the current administration has any real motivation to prioritize this legislation, especially given Trump's personal involvement and connection within the crypto sector. They argue the administration might just let it sit. But here's my personal counter argument. I think the administration wants this win. Passing a structured, definitive framework like the Clarity Act brings massive capital back into the United States financial ecosystem. It turns digital assets into a compliant commodity asset class. So to me, giving the nod to a bill that establishes clear rules actually protect American innovation and creates a massive economic victory. So I believe the motivation is absolutely there. Now, is this proposed schedule a confirmed roadmap or just a speculation? We have to keep our feet on the ground. When community members like Consuelo Neve, so let's just highlight this part. So Consuelo Neve on X directly questioned the source of this timeline. Kenny Nguyen openly clarified that this is his personal projection based on the current legislative pace, rather than a confirmed official congressional calendar from Washington. Now, here's my opinion. It is incredibly important to separate official schedules from logical projections. We cannot treat these exact dates as an absolute guarantee. If a political debate pops up or if another issue takes over the Senate floor, things could easily shift by a couple of weeks. But my personal takeaway is that even if the dates shift slightly, the sequence of events remains exactly the same. We are watching a clear step-by-step evolution. The fact that the community is actually debating the exact week of the president's signing shows how close we are to the finish line. The era of endless court extensions is over, and the era of legislative resolution is officially here. And finally, here's our overall conclusion. When you look at everything happening right now in this year of 2026, the big picture becomes incredibly clear. The Clarity Act remains one of the most vital, high-stakes pieces of legislation that the digital asset market has ever seen. Whether Kenny Nguyen's exact timeline hits the nail on the head or faces minor delays depends entirely on how fast Congress moves when they resume work this week. But the core reality doesn't change. The wheels are turning in Washington. We are moving closer to a definitive regulatory framework that will give XRP the exact structural foundation it needs to scale logically. So we need to keep our eyes glued to the news feeds starting July 13. Watch the votes, monitor the reconciliation updates, and don't let short-term noise distract you from the massive regulatory shift playing out right in front of us. So stay sharp, stay disciplined, and this finally ends our video. So thank you very much for watching, and see you on the next one, or you might just as well check this next recommended video right here.